Well, good afternoon, Barb. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Well, I'm keeping up. It's a lovely day today, and I was so taken aback and encouraged by your wonderful people. Like we posted something. What is the one most courageous thing that you have done? And oh my gosh, they were just beautiful answers.
Right? I know I was taken aback with all the vulnerability.
Yeah. There was a few
So,
that were really touching and really
yes,
deep. I love the community that you've built where people will just share so openly.
right, right. And they are touching. And then I was like going, gosh, me too on some of those. And it's just a testament to humans and how we connect. And it doesn't matter what our package is, but we all understand what courage is and what fear is. And I think I was saying fear might be the motivator for our being courage, but courage pushes us forward past our comfort zone. So maybe it's a blend of a beautiful mixture of feelings and desire to move forward and just b- be brilliant.
Yeah,
And it's an amazing human thing.
yeah. Well, if you don't mind me being a little bold, and I bet you a whole bunch of people here would love to hear your answer, young lady. But
Ooh.
it's such a broad spectrum. So, is there like maybe a little window of time in your life that you would share one thing that, was remarkably courageous of what you had done? Does anything come to mind?
I'm just gonna own it and say my whole life has been courageous, but I know what you're asking me. I would say there was a huge pivot. If you don't know by now, some of the followers might be new. I had cancer about 10 years ago. And up to that point, I was a people pleasing, but I was growing and learning and still doing, but still afraid, living in that fear thing. And my oncologist sat me down in the office one day, and he said, "The type of cancer you have is because of this type of lifestyle, and this is what basically being a people pleaser is what he said." And he
Well,
goes, "And you have to make choices, and you're going to have to decide if you want to live 5 more years or if you want to live the rest of your life." And he goes, and that means making big decisions. And then we talked about some personal things, but it pivoted my whole life. And I do go into a deeper dive. I did write the book, Beautiful Mess. This is how all this came to be for that. And that has my personal journal for the first year of going through cancer, writing about my thoughts about my childhood, my marriage, myself, my just being human, whether it's good, bad, the ugly, the pretty, the beautiful. I just put it out there, and that's what that's about. So if you want all the details, I guess that's where you would want to go read it. But for me, that moment, I remember getting in the car and sitting there in the hospital parking lot and just bawling my eyes out because I knew I had to let go of my marriage just because we were so codependent and just a lot of emotional and on both ways. It wasn't a one-way street. Emotional abuse on both sides. I was very passive aggressive and he was overly angry all the time, and it was just we didn't know how to handle each other emotionally, so it wasn't fun. And then some other people that had huge impacts, and I had to walk away. And that sounds like, oh, that's so blasé, but let me tell you, walking away isn't as easy as it sounds because people still want to hold on to you. And it's like, you can't say, well, I'm done and that's it. I mean, people really come back and dig in. And that's where your tenacity and grit and courage comes in to keep saying no with love, because I didn't want to do it with anger because I knew I didn't want to leave it in an angry space. I wanted to leave in a peaceful, knowing this is the best for everyone, even if they can't see it. 10 years later, they can see it now, but in the thick of it, they couldn't see what I could see for that moment. And it could be different, depending where the dynamics are. But that empowerment of knowing the truth and just anchoring into that peace, and that olive branch that my oncologist, he's like, you do what you want to do, but this is going to be the outcome of these are your likely outcomes. You can't, be 100% sure of what your life is going to look like if you go A or B, just from his background of working with people with the same issue that I had.
wow. I really want to thank you for sharing that. That is such a Well, such a massive and heavy thing. I can't even imagine just first of all being, told that, yeah, your life has a significant limit and you're not going to bode well if you don't make some serious tough choices. And then
Right.
the picture of you just in that vehicle, you're all
That
alone.
was such a hard day. I just remember it so vividly. And then I had to hold it because I couldn't quite start the process until I went into remission. So that was probably another 2 months out.
Yeah.
But it's so I sat with it for a long time. I wrote, and that's where a lot of the writing went into. I did I did put in the book the letter I wrote to one of my family members. That's in there. But the one I wrote to my husband, I did not put in there at the time. But I did put it on my private page to share with people so they could, because I know I'm not the only one who feels that way in their marriage. And it's not that I don't love him or he doesn't love me. It was just, what I call it's like, I'll see you in forever or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I grew up with the man. I'm going to start tearing up. He's a lovely person, and his life is amazing now. And we just helped each other grow up, and we had to phase out, and that's just part of being human.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm going to start crying. Sorry.
Mm. It's okay. You're making me tear up. Can
It
I
was a
just tell
very
you,
hard decision.
mm, can I just tell you, just a little insight that I see is, you were given a really like ominous outcome and you started with that. You started
Yeah.
with what you had. And I just want to really bless you and encourage you that, that did take a lot of courage. So Barb, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. I will say, then this makes me laugh because somebody said this to me, or I read it in a meme, and it said, "Oh, did you fall from heaven?" Because you know how people are. I said, "No, I crawled myself out. I crawled out of hell." I mean, then that's how I felt. Like, oh yeah, I didn't fall from heaven. I crawled myself out of hell and then created heaven for myself. And I just that always stuck with me because it made me giggle because I'm like exactly, and that's how I feel about my life. And I'm so very grateful and I would not change it because I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have all those challenges. And we didn't even touch upon the childhood trauma and all that stuff and everything that went on with that. But that was the big pivot in my life, I would say, where it transitioned.
Yeah.
It was just a
Listen,
180. Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to chatting with you again and
Okay.
talking soon.
You too. Thank you.